Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men with power want? More power.
And now, broadcasting live on GMN from an undisclosed location in the Arizona desert. Italian by birth, American by choice. Songwriter, poet, freedom activist, Luca Zanna with Love, Guns, and Freedom.
All systems go.
Don't tread on us. We're not afraid. You work for us.
Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on Guerilla Media Network. Another Sunday night show, here we are. Hour number one. A lot of very, very serious information and 3 hours pack of information, interviews, and everything. I would like to start, first of all, with the information that pretty much they are common to all of us, not just locally in Mojave County, Arizona, where I live, but I'm talking about all over the world, and more important right now, also in the U.S. Ebola. You remember a few months ago, about at least a month, almost 2 months ago, I started to mention the fact that there is something that, unfortunately, is concerning. This Ebola crisis in Liberia, more than 3 months ago, we started to hear that it was different, and we knew that this is not just something that you can just forget about it. I mean, think about it. We have a virus that it can spread airborne, and whatever the CDC now says, we know that we approve. We also played, like I think last show, that in the 80s there was this case in this laboratory in the US where over 400 monkeys in this lab that to be euthanized or killed by this army special group because they were transmitting the Ebola in the lab through the air duct, were airborne. Now, we have a complete really hell scenario in front of us, and I'm not trying to dramatize you, but we were talking about exactly like this just a few weeks ago. What if we have the first case here? The sad thing is this could be prevented, but there is something that's happening. It's not just incompetence. It is not just some sort of, let's say, stupidity. No, this is a plan, in my opinion. Remember, we used to have protocols. We used to have, and we still have on the book, at least different type of executive orders and also legislation that you cannot let somebody with some sort of a serious disease back into U.S. continental soil. There used to be quarantine areas of a special U.S. Navy boat, that were pretty much outside the U.S. or not close to the land, and where that's American people, in case they come back with some special medical conditions that could be contagious, that there will be quarantine. Now something's happening. We have completely a plan that the borders, they're open, very well. We have these flights keep coming from Liberia and from other countries connected to this Ebola. There is no will to stop this in-flight these flights to the U.S. And more important, we have now also sent 3,000 soldiers, of our soldiers, in the middle of Liberia. And we know that there is something that is very weird. We have this supposed to be people that they were coming back because they needed to be cured. They're not even contained. They are completely let in these universities or in these hospitals, walking like it's a regular day. I mean, now we have the first case was in Dallas, Texas. Then there is another case in D.C. Then we have a suspected case in Hawaii. Then we have another suspected case in Utah. Think about it. If any of these had a chance to propagate and pretty much spread this virus to other people, and takes at least 3 weeks before the virus is detected. We already been too late. And we were talking about this scenario just a few weeks ago. Unfortunately, you see, this is not just plain incompetence by this administration. In my opinion, this is exactly the pretext for martial law. And it would be the perfect scenario. Remember, problem, reaction, solution. Government thrives out of this sort of crisis. I'm sorry. I wish it wasn't happening, but it is really happening. Now, today is October, and we are here in the 5th of October, Sunday, and 2014. I hope that in a month from now, we're not going to hear anymore about any other cases, because few more cases of these viruses and it could go out of control. The economy could completely stop. There would be a complete collapse of society. Think about panic. People wouldn't go anymore to school, wouldn't go anymore to bars or to restaurants or even just to use buses. So would you go to the subway? Would you get a public bus? Would you go to the post office? Think about it. We are already so fragile. This economy is already so fragile. And this is the last thing we need. At the same time, you see there is a complete disregard of this emergency. The CDC, the Center of Disease Control, completely they've been lying. They lied to us before. They are not even putting any type of panic or at least seriousness into this matter. They used to do that with the swine flu, like there was a huge drama. We knew there was a fraud anyway. They wanted just to sell you more vaccines. And now look what's going on. So this is very serious. Now, what is exactly the solution that we have? First of all, I really believe this point, we have to start to pray. I'm not trying to preach you. You pray whatever you want. But let me tell you something. This is something that's going to be so big. If you don't have some sort of a little faith in something or somebody, it's going to be bigger than us. And at the same time, prepare. Think and really stop tomorrow. Could stop tomorrow morning. You wake up in the morning and you see on your news emergency, communication broadcasting from the White House, and you will see the puppet of the New World Order, Mr. Obama, pretty much tell you that we are under martial law. That's where we are. So that's all I'm trying to say right now. We need to start to think about it. Now, there is also a lot of other many news that we need to touch, first of all. And I would like to tell you a little bit about the show. Today we have, first of all, three guests. We have, first of all, in the second part of the first hour, we will talk, at least I had a chance to talk over the phone with the Representative Sonny Borrelli from, LD5, Arizona, the representative. And the conversation was about a local issue, of course, completely different from this Ebola, but we come back also to our reality. $70 million bond that Lake Havasu School District is pretty much asking to its citizens, its residents to cough it up. And we will see exactly what he thinks about it. At least I was able to put him on record. He's always open to communicate, even when we don't agree, and I respect that. Representative Borrelli for that, even if I don't agree. And also, we will talk about a very important gun master of marksmanship and combat gun. It's a combat, and by the way, it's a combat handgun master. Its name is brad-ackman. He's a general operational manager for Frontsight. Already had him a few times. And today we will go through with him about different type of, first of all, what's going on with training, some ideas about training, more important, how to clear a house, and also a little bit about the famous Uzi or Uzi, debate. Should a child shoot a Uzi? And what he thinks, in his own opinion, if this Uzi was appropriately handled correctly by this instructor that unfortunately died. This is the accident we had here in White Hills in Arizona. So, and then we have our number 3. Normally it's about love. And today is something different. I was able to, by accident, I found a singer, a songwriter and singer, and also a musician. She also plays music, that has the last name like myself. Her name is Zanna. So the fact that she's into music and her name is Zanna, and I think she has some very interesting songs, I wanted to try to get a different perspective. Instead of just me talking, I wanted to start to talk to a younger person, especially, we're talking about one of these, I'm 46, I'm not that old, but I think, somebody that at least is probably 20 years younger than me, I guess, I consider like the new millennium or whatever they're called. So I wanted to start to touch base to see exactly what we are facing, us as humanity, and also the next generation, and what exactly the next generation knows about what's going on. So I want just to try to touch base with her a little bit, and also playing some of her music. I'll give you a break from my songs today, or at least at the third hour, no songs. And we have a cool recipe, lumberjack fettuccine. Last week I showed you how to make from scratch handmade fettuccine. Now today we have a little quick recipe. So this is pretty much the concept. Now, since we are here, the first hour is going, and before we continue with news, let me play a song just to give you a little bit of a warm-up, and you're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Your rod and staff, they comfort me. I am not afraid because you are with me. Na 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 na. 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 I'm not afraid. 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 I'm not afraid to face the truth. I can see evil in the eyes. Are you ready to stand for good? There's more than just this life. We are living in crazy times. If you believe it's a crime, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I can smell pain in the air. People are lost in despair. Dark clouds are on the way. I pray for courage every day. I will fight till my last breath. You give me strength to smile at death. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. Because you're with me. I'm not afraid. Because I believe in you. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid.
Okay, we are back. That was the song I'm Not Afraid. Words, lyrics and music by myself, Luca Zanna. And I also remind you, you can support the show, to be free, to stay free, so we don't need to depend just on sponsor. First of all, support the radio. KTOX also is supported by private support, like, donations. And I don't ask you for donation for myself. I just ask if you want, you go to my website, zanna.us, www.zanna.us, and you can download any of my over 100 songs that I publish and recorded. And for just 99 cents a song, and you really support the show. Anyway, now, situation. I'll give you a little bit of a preview what's going on today. Now, we have, in my opinion, something that is bigger than they let us know. I was watching Fox News the other day for a moment. I don't really have cable anymore, but I was able to watch this on the internet, and there was very much this host, or I call it puppet, that he wanted to be really sure that he was repeating that there is no case of Ebola in the U.S. There is no case of Ebola in the U.S. Guess what? We already know there is a case, and we don't know how many more cases there are. All I know that there is already a situation of people in quarantine. And just to recap, we have this person in Dallas, and this person in Dallas also was in contact with over 80 people, and they're all pretty much now monitored, supposedly. And also we have a situation in Hawaii that is under quarantine, and there is also a person in Washington, D.C. Now, you understand, this is not a drill. This is not a game. This could be also my last show for what we know. I mean, seriously, what do you think? If next week we go in martial law, you think you're going to have any more free radio station being able to communicate? They will pretty much suppress everything.
We've got breaking news out of Sarasota County.
Listen to this.
Possible case of Ebola. Sarasota Memorial Hospital went on high alert today when
Here we go. We had a problem. Anyway, this is something that I would like to replay because
patient
here we go.
who recently traveled to the area from West Africa had symptoms consistent with the Ebola virus. Now, that patient is now being monitored but hasn't been tested for Ebola. The hospital issued a statement saying, quote, both emergency medicine and infectious disease specialists say he does not meet the CDC criteria for Ebola testing and that it is highly unlikely that he has the Ebola virus. The man did not travel to any considered high-risk Ebola country.
Well, we will see. I hope they're right. I really do. Now, the situation here is what if this is happening? What is if next week we're going to have 20 more cases of Ebola around the U.S.? Do we have a plan? Do you have a plan? And what is exactly can we do? I mean, after all, we are not the government, but we know what the government is doing. They just bought 160,000 special hazmat outfit, That's kind of a huge number, this special vest that you see normally you watch in the movies. 160,000. Think about it. They already pretty much gave to different disposition and ordinances, or at least a policy, how to handle dead people to the morgues. Because, if somebody is dead with Ebola, you cannot just put him in the regular morgue like normally you would do. And there is much more information that unfortunately start all to make sense right now. Now we start maybe to understand why the government, the last few, probably 4 years, 3 years, they've been building up like a special, super powerful military force on the U.S., armored vehicles, billions of rounds, and all these different plans for martial law that are coming out, all the different type of new booklets of civilian concentration camps or civilian labor force. I mean, this is serious. This is all built up. I would like to go back to something that we must not ignore. There is something that we must know, and if this show, at least we like to bring you in this show the seed to find out yourself. You should Google really the Georgia's guidestones. It's if you don't know what it is, please Google it. All I can tell you that it's a very important part of all this. The Georgia's in Georgia state guidestone. There is a monument. Somebody spent over $5 million, I guess. And in this monument, it's like made of marble, I guess. There are like some sort of a manifesto written in several languages. And the bottom line is, one of this manifesto, one of the most important points, is the population must be controlled to a level of 500 million people. 500 million people. We are 7 billion people. You do the math. You do the math. Now, this is not a joke. Somebody spending over $5 million for some marbles to put in the middle of nowhere, where pretty much they said that they must control the population. And we know very well that through vaccinations, through the different problems that we have with wars, environment, water, fluoride, GMO food, we are under attack every day. And as much as we're supposed to have a better level of quality of life, unfortunately, we are dying now after we've been milked like cows. So the reason why I brought up this Georgia Guidestones, because if you Google it, you will see that just a few months ago, out of the blue, appeared that under this ceiling, in the corner, there was a new block of marble with inscribed a special number, 2014. 2014, this was exactly a message. These people, I call them the global elite, you can call them whatever they want, they really believe in this stuff. You may not, but they do. And the idea that 2014, I wouldn't be surprised. Of course, I hope it's wrong. I hope this is nothing but just another coincidence. But I wouldn't be surprised if something has to do. Because I think something's going to happen right now. Look at the economy. Economy starts to crash. Silver and gold is being manipulated down. But meanwhile, big institutions, they are buying big time. They're controlling the price. Somebody's going to make a bunch of money out of this crisis. You watch it. Meanwhile, the regular Joe, the average Joe, will be pretty much losing everything. So I really believe this is not a drill. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're going to have another Christmas together, be in peace, and still live in some sort of resemblance of what is America, what it used to be America. But I really feel that everything could happen even in the next couple of weeks. That's all I'm saying. And all I can say, please have a plan. Prepare yourself. Think that that could be the last day you could have access to services or to buying products for yourself and your family. And pray. Pray whatever you want. But really at this point, I believe we got to pray. So anyway, you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and we go the second part of our number one. We'll talk more about news. Stay tuned. Don't go away.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Luca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Luca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerilla Media Network. Here we are back. Our number one, Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. We talk a little bit about what's going on with this Ebola, and I hope to be wrong. That's all I hope. I wish really to be wrong. And by the way, every time I'm here and bring you this news or these facts, I wish it wasn't true. I really do. When I tell you about the Council of Foreign Relations, or the Senator McCain is a member of it, and what it really means for America, or Obama that is pretty much a puppet and a Trojan horse, and It doesn't really want anything good for the American people. I wish I was wrong. I really wish. Now, well, let's go back a little bit about our local news. I want to be fair because, as I said, I don't believe in party. I believe not in left or right. I only believe in freedom, or I believe in tyranny. They're two different things. But the same thing with the Republican Party now. You know very well. Last week, I completely burned my registration card. But I still have respect for some people that in the Republican Party, they may do the right thing. But unfortunately, I realize, in my opinion, according to my values, and also what I think the values of what used to be the Republican Party, or was supposed to be on paper, small government, lower taxation, don't use our money as a form of coercion to try to pretty much enslave us in bondage with bonds. And going back to our local government here in Mojave County, Arizona, okay, I do not live in Lake Havasu. I live in the county, thankfully. One layer less of bureaucracy and parasites to pay. So, but at the same time, I feel sorry when I see things happening. For example, in this Lake Havasu district, the school district, now they are proposing for the next election to put on the ballot a $70 million bond for the school district. Hard to believe. This is not Beverly Hills. For me, $70 million is the budget probably for some small, Polynesia islands, even southern country that I visited when I was younger. So it's kind of amazing to think that now we have supposed to be Republicans people, supposed to be fiscal conservative. Of course, even they are not voting directly in the Phoenix, but they voting with their approval, or at least they're, let's say, supporting it. Don't get me wrong. I don't need to agree on everything. And sometimes, I prefer people that they are upfront. For example, I had the chance to talk today with Representative Sonny Borrelli. I respect the man for many areas. I don't agree with everything with him. I have a lot of things I may disagree, but at least he's upfront. At least he tells you things the way he thinks, and that's fine. At this point, everybody does whatever they want. And I'll tell you something also. I'm not a Republican anymore. I'm an independent. So it's not even like anymore I am some sort of emotional attachment or whatever. Seriously, that's what he wants to do. That's why I'm an independent. If he believes that $70 million is the answer to put an extra layer of taxes on the constituents, because they pretty much the school district cannot keep their pants zipped, and they cannot stop spending. I mean, seriously. Now we have also with the new curriculum of the Common Core, they want booklets, Chromebooks, and tablets. I mean, this is out of control. $70 million for just one town, 9 schools. For me, it's amazing, and I believe something else. So let's be honest. Let's be pretty much logic, and let's not be hypocritical. This is socialism. You force me to pay for a product that I do not want to use. I don't have kids, for example. Even if I had kids, I wouldn't send them to public school. I would pay my own private education, or I would do homeschooling. That's a fact. So this is a socialist form of government at local level from people that they pretty much denounce Obama and Obamacare. Obamacare is the same type of form. People vote. 51% of the people decide that, hey, we decide that we must get your money so we can pay for our stuff. Same story with this. Now, if they support a vote to pretty much control and steal, legally steal, the tax dollar from other constituents, this is for me socialism. And I'm sorry, Representative Borrelli, I respect you for many things, but I really disagree with you on this one. I tried to contact Senator Kelly Ward through Facebook. I didn't hear from her, but I heard that also her supports this bond. And I'm telling you, what is conservative about this? What is really about property rights? What is really about individual rights? Let's just be honest. Let's not even criticize anymore Obama about Obamacare, because this is nothing different from Obamacare. You're creating a bond, you're creating an extra tax on your property. For me, property tax is supposed to be already illegal, because if you are allowed to have property tax on a building, on your home, then you can do tomorrow property tax also maybe on your couch, on your bed, maybe also, why not, on your table. On your car, there is already, of course, the call registration. So this is the point. You want to create an extra burden. I would like to abolish property tax. Instead, I enslave and put in bondage more bonds. So, no, there is no excuse. And I'm telling you, I wasn't always agreeing with former Senator Ron Gould, but I tell you, when it came down to economics, he was a genius. At least he was a man that was really straight all the way to his principle. I've never seen anybody like him after him so far. I'm following the situation with Lake Havasu, with the bond for the school, the $70 million school. And, I wanted to know your position, because I've been told by third party about voices, and I don't want to go with voices. I want to know directly from your voice what you think about if you support or not the $70 million bond for the Lake Havasu district school.
Do I support the bond? Yeah.
You support the bond.
And the reason being, it's local control. The state can't take that money from them. The state doesn't really have the money to actually cough up the dollars that they need anyway.
That was pretty much part of the short interview. And that's my point, we are voluntarily creating a new, they are, not me, because I don't live in Lake Havasu, but anyway, the citizens of Lake Havasu, they want completely create this mob mentality, like used to be in ancient Greece. Pretty much they go vote. That's what democracy is so scary, it's so dangerous, to force the 49% of the people who don't agree to pay for somebody else's education. Not only pay, we're already paying. To pay more, to get an extra tax. I don't know. I wish there was a ticket to Mars that I would be able to afford to buy, to be left alone. But even if I go to Mars now, I see that there is some corporation pretty much dictating, creating a new government controlled by corporations, because even in Mars now it's going to be overcrowded. So, meanwhile, we are here on planet Earth. I would like to find solutions. Now, speaking about solutions, we heard about the Ebola. We know what's going on. I have a beautiful story to share. This is something that is not an infomercial. Even, of course, we are selling the product, but it is more important because it's like a human story that I believe there is hope. I would like to share with you today a very important experience. A lady from California, her name is Judy. She's been taking Protandim for about probably almost a month, and she must disclose, I think, something that I believe is very powerful. And I would like to remind our listeners that I'm not here to give any medical advices. I'm not a doctor. I'm just sharing her experience directly from her mouth. And here we are. Judy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Judy, very good. I'm glad to hear from you. And I would like, please, if you can start to introduce yourself, where you're from, how old are you, and exactly what is your medical problem that doctors they pretty much diagnosticated on you. And what is your experience with Protandim? Go ahead.
Well, I'm 69 years old. I live in California. And I noticed when I was about 35 years old that something was going wrong. My husband noticed it. I had erratic behavior. I was up and down, more mouthy, more quiet. At the time we lived in Arkansas, my husband finally sent me up to a clinic. There wasn't much to offer back there. And I came home with a handful of pills, and he had told me that I had depression, which at the time I threw the pills away. I was total denial. At that, at that time, the depression was not just an everyday thing. Some days I just felt normal. Other days I would be in a manic mood or I'd be in a depressed mood. We moved back to California in 1980, where I did start seeing a psychiatrist regularly because the manic depressive symptoms were getting worse, and they were more consistent than they had been. So I have been on medication probably since I was about 37 years old.
Wow.
I've probably been to more than 20 different psychiatrists.
Oh, my gosh.
I have had 18 electroconvulsive treatments, ECTs, which I just can't believe that I did it. To me, that's one of the worst things that I did to myself.
Yeah.
It removes part of your long-term memory.
Oh, my gosh.
It affects your short-term memory. As I went on from doctor to doctor, and every year I got worse. And the manic episodes became worse. The depressive part of it became worse. And I've lived my entire life in that way.
Can I say something? It sounds to me like living in hell. Seriously, I mean, I feel sorry for you. I feel so sorry. You know, this is no way to live a life.
Your mind is taken over. You are living in a hell. You're living in a place of solid sadness, hopelessness. You have no future. My wish when I go to bed is that I don't wake up in the morning. I don't enjoy life. We've basically lost all of our friends. I never could join in. I could make and say, yes, we'll go.
Yeah.
But I couldn't leave the house.
I understand.
Once the time got there. And we've lived out in this part of California now since 2001. And I just continually keep getting worse. My husband had become my caretaker. I spent most of my time in bed. I wouldn't go out of the house. Doctors didn't know what to do.
Wow.
Huh?
I say, wow. I mean, I'm very amazed about this. Let's talk about now the change, because I had a call from my friend Ken, that, by the way, is on the phone with us, and you.
Okay.
About it. There was a beautiful news, and it got me so excited, and I've been so happy. Even I don't know you, I'm so glad that you, through my friend Ken, you were able to at least start to see something different, a change.
Right.
Tell me what happened exactly.
I have met Ken probably 3 weeks ago to a month, and he was telling me about the Protandim and was suggesting and hoping I may try it to see if it would help my depression.
Okay.
And it only took just a few days to receive it, which I started right away. I was currently on an antidepressant, which I stayed on the antidepressant plus the Protandim. After talking with Ken one afternoon when he called, 10, 11 days ago, we talked about taking antidepressant medicines. And after talking with him and hanging up, I decided, well, I'm going to try it without it. I felt good. I felt better. And I wanted to see what the medicine Protandim would do without having an antidepressant in me also.
Judy, just for the record.
So I did.
Judy, only 1 second. Just for the record, Protandim, it is not a medicine and is not approved by FDA. It's considered and cataloged under as a food supplement. So that's very important. Because,
yes, it is.
Good. Okay, very good. Continue,
yes.
Please, continue.
I decided to take my medicine, my antidepressant, and I reduced the amount that I took at evenings. For 4 days, I took a half a pill. For the next 4 days, I took a quarter of a pill. And it's been without having any side effects or anything or withdrawals. My mind is open. That haze that you carry around with you is gone. I don't have the sadness. I don't have the hopelessness.
Wow.
I've actually driven my car, which I have not done for well over 6 months. And had I driven it prior just to make a short trip, I would have to have taken an Ativan or a clozapam or cancel.
My gosh.
The fear of just going outside became too much. And so I'm now driving. I do things around the house.
Wow.
I believe I'm not where I want to be, but I have very high hopes. My husband, at the end of 2011, was diagnosed with cancer, which is terminal.
Oh, my gosh.
And so I have another thing going on in my life that is very unsettling and very sad in itself. The thought of losing my husband and living alone is in my mind. I'm handling it better than I had prior to taking the Protandim.
How long exactly have you been taking it? I think it was almost 4 weeks, right?
I've taken it for 27 days.
Wow. So that's, I think, is encouraging. I think it's encouraging. I'm not trying to give any type of medical opinion, but I think the fact that in just a month or less than a month, taking 1 pill a day of Protandim, you have something that you, and I'm just trying to reread exactly what you said, some improvements that you never really had in all these years with all these medications.
Absolutely not.
So that's encouraging.
Nothing. Even if I took an antidepressant and it made me feel better, the sadness and the hopelessness and stuff really did not go away.
I understand.
I may have been able to get up and move around, but I never had this peace of mind that I have now.
I can relate with you, Judy. I mean, I'm a human being. You know, we go in life and we go ups and down. I don't have what you have, and I feel sorry for you. I can only maybe imagine for a moment. But, as a human being, we have moments that we can go down too, not always everything is fine. And I'm telling you, I've been taking Protandim for 3 months. And even in my toughest time of the last 3 months, work, life in general, personal lives, personal problems, I never felt down and dark like sometimes in the past I used to be. I'm always been much more positive, uplifting, thinking that there is a better day tomorrow, things I can change things for the better. Give me the sense of serenity that I never had. And I relate also with you with this fog in your brain. I felt like almost I had a lead cap before, and now after 2 weeks...
It's just something, and it took about 10 days of starting a Protandim that I really noticed my mind was clear.
Yes, I understand.
That heavy fog that stays there, and your thoughts were gone.
You're still under cure, of course, with your doctor, right? Is your doctor monitoring you?
My doctor knows I took him the bottle of it the last time I was there, and he read it, and we had taken some information off of the internet, and he was in full concurrence to go ahead and try it.
Excellent. Is he excited too now that you're doing better?
I had an appointment with him today, but I had to cancel it because my husband had to go to the City of Hope, and
I understand.
We only have the one car, so I don't go back for another week.
Let us know, though. I would like to know the doctor what he thinks about it. It would be great. Ken, are you there, please? Ken?
Yes, I'm here, Luca.
Would you like to add something? This is a beautiful story. I'm so proud that you took the time and the effort to try to communicate and share this experience with our friend Judy. And this is beautiful. Tell me something, Ken. What do you think?
Well, I think this is... I've heard other stories, but nothing like Judy's. I'm so happy for a little bit of money. I want people to understand I don't do this for the money. I do this to help people out. And if we can, after seeing her, what it's done for her, what it's done for my daughter, what it's done for my wife, what it's done for me, if I didn't make a dime on it, I would still try to get people to get their health better. And I'm so happy for you, Judy. It almost brings tears to my eyes.
I know you are. I can hear it in your voice.
Thank you. Thank you. Listen, I would like to say everybody's listening to this segment. Do your own researches. If you want to try a month of Protandim, you can go straight to Ken's website. His name is Ken, K-E-N, and the website is Protandim, Ken, all one word, .com. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerilla Media Network. Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on Guerilla Media Network. This is hour 2. We talk about guns, training, also philosophy. I'm not talking about guns must be a philosophy, but for sure it's a way to think. And also it's a cultural factor, that's for sure, at least in America. I have with me, again, I'm very proud of it, the General Operational Manager of Frontsight Firearms Institute from Pahrump, Nevada. It's one of the places that I really enjoy the most since I became an American. I have the opportunity to train with incredible people and also with incredible curriculum that normally law-abiding citizens call also civilians. They were never allowed to have access to such type of training, especially around the world. If you come from Europe especially, there is no way you can do that. So, and this was for me one of the most intense and beautiful things I discovered as I became an American, to be able to be part of the Frontsight family. His name is brad-ackman. Brad, are you there?
I am here. Thank you, Luca, for having me on.
You're welcome. Probably my accent on your last name, I kind of distorted. There is no H, right? Ackman. right?
No H. It's Ackman, like Ackerman with no ER.
Perfect. Okay, I want just to be sure. I try to improve my accent and my grammar lately as much as I can. I have a personal tutor on top. Okay, listen, Brad. First of all, thank you very much again. I know you're a busy guy. You've been, last time we talked to you, you were also in Alaska. There is another Frontsight facility in Alaska, correct?
There is. We have a small facility just outside of Kenai, Alaska, which is south of Anchorage, and we have it strictly for seasonal purposes for July and August, when it's quite hot in the Mojave Desert, as you well know. The temperatures in Alaska are gorgeous. So we switch our training efforts to Alaska, as well as we do a bunch of indoor stuff here in Nevada. But it is pretty hot outdoors in Nevada, so we like to go to Alaska during the summer.
Okay, perfect. And you have pretty much the same type of curriculum, or you have maybe some specialty classes that normally we cannot attend in Nevada?
No, it's the same curriculum, but it's smaller offerings. In fact, the only courses we offer in Alaska are the skill builder level courses. So it's not the introductory level, but it's really the next step up. And it's a small facility, small ranges, so it's personalized, and it's, of course, gorgeous weather. It's really very much a resort-like retreat-type setting. It's a lot of fun.
Very good. I'm very excited. Maybe one day I will fly to Alaska. I never really had the chance to
have you. We'd love to have you, yes.
Thank you. Now, let's talk a little bit about, first of all, today is, Sunday, and you have a busy class. I heard that like more than 400 students are there right now, correct?
Correct, yeah. On Friday, we started a course that had about 430 students, something like that. So that's pretty big for us, particularly this time of year. It's still pretty warm, although today the weather's nice. I assume you're enjoying the same weather I am.
Yes.
And but it's still relatively warm, so we tend to see lower enrollment in September, and then, of course, it bumps up in October, November when the weather gets better. But for right now, 450 students or so is a pretty big course for us. When the weather's nice, we'll easily see over 1,000 students a week.
Wow. And also, this is another thing I would like to remind the listeners. Frontsight is the school, the only institute in America that has more students than all other schools combined. And it is not just about quantity of volumes, but also quality. One thing I'm really impressed, I've been life member probably about almost 5 years now, and I did different, transition from the beginning I was Diamond, then I became, ambassador, and then Guardian. But the point is I still find, and it's pretty amazing, I want to be very critical, and also I want to remind to the listeners, this is not a sponsor show. This is my real opinion and my true feelings about Frontsight. The school, the system, the curriculum, regardless the huge increase in numbers of students, is still top. And that's kind of hard to believe, because normally when big organizations become also bigger, it's hard to keep the quality. Instead, I've been doing several classes, and I still see the same type of attitude, the same type of professionalism, and more important, strictly close to the curriculum like Dr. Piazza, you created. I know that. So congratulations for that. Now let's talk a little bit more tactical things. First of all, one thing I wanted to talk to you, something that I know Frontsight offers Uzi or full automatic classes, not just Uzi, but also M16. I think that's great. It's a great opportunity. Now, specifically, the focus would be, first of all, we had an accident here that I don't know if it's just, I want to leave it like accident. Part of me, I would like to say, is also negligence, but let's keep it like an accident in Arizona, exactly not that far from where I live, that a 9-year-old little child was given access to this Uzi full automatic, and the instructor, unfortunately, he got killed. I know that Frontsight has programs for even teenagers to have access to full automatic weapons like the Uzi. What is the difference? What would be, first of all, the thing that you see that could be done better in that specific situation, and what exactly the Frontsight policy to try to avoid situations like that?
Sure. Well, let me just give you a little bit of framework in terms of the courses that we offer at Frontsight. We have a children's course, which is for children age 5 through 10. Then we have a youth course, which is ages 11 to 15. And by age 16, we encourage those students to join our regular courses, because our philosophy is if they can drive a car, they should be shooting a gun. However, we accept students as young as 11 into our regular firearms courses if they're accompanied by their parent and the parent has taken that course before. We team them up in shooter-coach format, so the parent and the child are always together. And at that point, we're welcoming them down to the age of 11. Okay, so back to the original question that you had about what do we do to ensure safety, and what is our philosophy in terms of putting full automatic weapons in the hands of children. We start the firearms training process with the youngest people on site. In other words, we don't shy away from guns in the least for the young kids. And as I say, that's down to age 5. We start with an indoctrination. That sounds a little harsh, but a familiarization with the 4 safety rules, the 4 universal firearm safety rules. We make sure that they fully understand them and can actually apply them. And with those firmly in hand, nobody's going to get hurt. Those 4 universal firearm safety rules guarantee everybody's safety. The interesting, and dare I say, unique aspect of the 4 safety rules is that you have to violate 2 of them before anybody gets hurt. Now, just as a quick refresher, universal firearm safety rule number 1 is treat every weapon as if it were loaded. Number 2, never let the muzzle cover anything you're not willing to destroy. Number 3, keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. And number 4 is be sure of your target and what's in line with your target. Now, you have to break 2 of those rules before anybody gets hurt, let alone killed. So we start with the 4 safety rules, and then we go into familiarization of the weapons themselves. And we start with age-appropriate weapons, lots of .22 rimfire, just so they can get a chance to handle the weapon, become familiar with it, and, of course, to enjoy it. We don't want to make this a big, scary experience for a young child. We want them to have a good time. As they gain some familiarity with the easy weapons, of course, we'll move up. We'll move into handguns and eventually into full automatic weapons. We shoot Uzis quite a bit, as was this situation in Arizona. Uzis are easy. They're fun. They have a relatively slow cyclic rate. They're heavy. They're forgiving. They don't recoil that much. They're just a great weapon, and they're fun to shoot. So we have our children shoot Uzis fairly routinely if they're safe and if they're up to it. In other words, their skill level is up to it, and if they want to. So we're not forcing them to shoot anything that they don't want to shoot. But to be perfectly candid, most kids want to shoot an Uzi. I mean, how fun is that? They get to go home and talk about having shot a full automatic Uzi, and that's a lot of fun for our kids. Okay, so you got to do it in a way that guarantees everybody's safety. Now, I have never met the people involved in that Arizona incident. I am certainly not trying to pass judgment. The only thing I have seen are the videos, particularly on YouTube, and I've only seen little snippets. I have not even seen the full video. Most of them stop. All of the ones I've seen stop at the point where the child fires the weapon. So I'm not sure I even have a full perspective of what happened in that particular case. But let me give you my opinion on what went wrong.
Okay.
First off, there was a lot of discussion about should a 9-year-old child be receiving training on a full automatic Uzi. Well, make no mistake, what they were doing was not training. Mm-hmm. There was no training involved at all. It was strictly recreation.
Yes.
And that's okay. There is nothing wrong with recreating with firearms. That is a totally valid activity. But let's not kid ourselves. What those two were doing was not training. Additionally, we make no assumptions that the child is in charge of that gun. In other words, we, the instructional staff, are in charge of the gun the entire time. Mm-hmm. For example, we generally handle the student from the firing side. For a right-handed student, that means from the right-hand side. In the video, I saw the firearms instructor on the left side of this right-handed girl. In my opinion, that's the wrong side. If you're going to work with gun handling issues, you want to be on the firing side. If you're looking for marksmanship issues, you're typically on the support side. But the safest location to be, the one where you have the most control, is on the firing side. So first and foremost, he was on the wrong side of the child. Secondly, we kneel down with the child and hold the Uzi with the bottom of the magazine. Of course, the magazine comes right out of the pistol grip on the Uzi, so you have a handle right there. So we hold the bottom of the weapon and then typically the back of the child. So we have one hand on the shoulder, the other hand on the gun, and that gun is in complete control by the instructor. Now, the child is pressing the trigger, and the child has the sense that they are in control. Well, they're in control of the trigger, and they're having a good time. But understand, the child could simply let go of the gun. They could fall over into an epileptic seizure, and nobody's going to get hurt because that gun is in complete control of the instructor. So the fact that there was an injury, let alone a fatality, means that something was clearly not being conducted correctly.
I agree. And, it makes sense what you're saying, because my opinion is very simple. First of all, a child, what I think about guns. I mean, honestly, I don't even think that I'm so radical, if you want to use that term, that I don't even believe that we should supposed to have a permit for a full auto. But at the same time, my logic says if there is not a real, first of all, physical body that can somehow be able to control a full auto weapon. I mean, 9 years old, come on, it's not somebody that, unless it's somebody special. I mean, every age is different, but at the same time, average 9 years old girl, I don't think she has that type of control. So the only way would make sense to me is exactly as you express, because to have an instructor that knows what he's doing and he controls the weapon no matter what, that could be a very great, beautiful experience to cherish and to remember. But the way that I saw the video, it was completely, in my opinion, and I'm sorry because I know the people and also the owner of the company there, and I think that was a mistake. There was something that should have been done better, because there is no way I would ever give complete control of any weapon to somebody, to a kid that never had a previous training. Period. First, This is the number one problem. As you said, there wasn't training there. There was just some sort of recreational. Nothing wrong when somebody is already prepared for the type of stage to have fun. But there was no any type of real education in guns handling. And to give a little child, like I give now to, if I had a son, I give, okay, he's 14 or 16, let's say, let me give you the key of the Ferrari. I mean, it's something that is not exactly the first car you would like to learn how to drive, So, and that's why I don't like to, because unfortunately then where we create a situation for legislations and hysteria, and of course all this anti-gun crowd to create new legislation. I believe that first of all there is responsibility. The family should be the first people responsible. I will never have my child access to a full auto weapon unless I know that there is a real training before that, and more important, I can physically control it. And at the same time, I'm sorry. The instructor, I think, as much as I feel sorry for him and his family, it was a problem there. But anyway, I'm glad that you at least you expressed, because I was really curious to know exactly how Frontsight handled this experience with full auto weapons with children. And I think it's very important that you let people know that the instructors at Frontsight, they are in control of the weapon. So it mostly is like almost more of an opportunity to squeeze the trigger and be part of this experience, but the instructor at the end is the final driver of the car. And
that's exactly right. And of course, that's based on age and skill level. By the time these children have some skill and the physical stature to control the weapon, then they are in control. But they have the skills and ability to do it at that point. So the description that I gave a moment ago is, of course, for the new shooter who's very small, much like this 9-year-old girl in Arizona.
Exactly. Good. Okay, let's move on to new things. First of all, I attended just a few days ago a class that I really enjoyed. It's correct me if I'm wrong. Sometimes I always forget name. It's Advanced Integrated Tactical Handgun class. Sounds like a very fancy long name. Good. And the experience that I had was very interesting, because it was a class that I was able to start to think out of the box, or even better, shooting out of the box. Normally we had the range, the target is in front of us, and of course, doesn't shoot back, but at least, the idea that you need to have some sort of, reach some sort of how you say, time frame and, speed and all this stuff, accuracy. This was even better, because we started to shoot from under the car, on top of the car, and running around on the move. I thought that was a very great experience. Normally, we cannot do these things at the regular range out there.
Right.
But the thing I would like to talk with you mostly is something that I think was even more important than everything, was the home invasion scenario, okay? And, we know very well that even as much as you can train is something very not to recommend. Not even the pros would do it, especially when you're by yourself, to go to clear a home. It's something that you need at least 2 people, and should be also very well trained. But in some very specific situation, like the home invasion that we have to face at Frontsight, unfortunately, in 911 is only like 20 minutes away. So we try to at least start to ingrain in our body, in our brain, some situation, how to handle. Can you just please give the basic concept of how somebody should handle mistakes, things to avoid, and things to do correctly if somebody has to clear a house in a desperate situation to try to rescue a family member? What would be the first things to avoid, and the things that would be, at least even if we cannot show them physically, but we can put them in people's brain?
Right. Okay, great. I think many people have a very romantic notion of clearing a house because we see it on Hollywood, we see it on TV routinely. And we see the good guy clearing the house, shooting the bad guys. He comes out safely in the end. He's the hero with the pretty lady on his arm. And I can't tell you that is such crap. That is not the way it goes on the street. Here's the very first thing that we tell our students when it comes to clearing a house. Don't do it unless you absolutely have no choice. It is by far the most dangerous thing you will ever do with that gun, bar none. It turns into a crapshoot, 50-50 at best, when you're chasing some bad guy through your home. You must first have a very compelling reason to be chasing a bad guy through your home. And there's only a couple of things I can think of that would warrant that. First, I don't know, maybe the house is on fire and you got to get out. But secondly, and more realistically, if you're going to the defense of somebody else. For example, it's a hostage situation. He's taken a loved one hostage. He's at the other end of the house, and you've got to go solve that problem. Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is pick up the phone and dial 911. Okay, because you want the cops there as soon as you possibly can. Hopefully, they can get there quickly, and frankly, turn it over to them. Let them do it. They're going to clear a home more often than you and me. They're probably pretty good at it. Let them do it. But in the scenario that we have created at Frontsight, they maybe are 15 or 20 minutes away. Well, that's obviously not a workable solution because the bad guy will have killed your loved one in that amount of time. So under that situation, you're headed down the hall to save your loved one. So in this case, we're talking about tactical movement. There are several principles which come into play when you're clearing your home. One, of course, is stay away from the bad guy. Maximize your distance because a Frontsight trained student is a good shooter, and distance favors the trained shooter. So if you can be at 15 feet instead of 15 inches, you should, because the Frontsight trained student is likely going to get a good hit at that distance, whereas the bad guy can get lucky up close. So stay away from the bad guy. Additionally, use cover and concealment as much as you possibly can. Cover stops rounds, like an engine block of your vehicle, the gun safe, those sort of things, hard structures. Those will stop rounds. Concealment is something that simply hides you, so it's a visual barrier. It could be a shower curtain. It could be a piece of plywood. It could be anything that you cannot see through. All right? It's not as good as cover, obviously, but it still has some value because the bad guy cannot see through it. So use cover, use concealment as much as you possibly can. Additionally, as an individual, not team tactics now, but as an individual, you're going to take your time. Go slowly, go quietly, be as stealthy as you possibly can, because that allows you to control the pace of the engagement. In other words, it allows you to act, forcing the bad guy to react. And as an individual, that's what you need. You don't have all of the assets of a team. For example, intel, distractions, diversions, limited areas of responsibility, overwhelming force, superior weapons. You don't have all that as an individual. So what you do have is the element of surprise. So you've got to go slowly, you've got to go quietly, and don't give away your position. In other words, don't be dragging your feet. Don't be, dragging your equipment on the wall as you search through the house. You've got to keep a silent approach as you work towards that room. Additionally, the gunfight, or rather the tactics, are going to boil down to a gunfight. Okay, it's not clearing the home isn't about the tactics. It's about putting yourself in a position to win the gunfight. And a lot of people don't understand that. A lot of people think that if you've got some very cool whiz-bang tactics, that is somehow going to win the fight. That is not true. Tactics in and of themselves don't win anything. It's still going to boil down to delivering a controlled pair to the bad guy before he delivers one to you. So this is still going to boil down to gun handling and marksmanship to win the gunfight and thus save your loved one. So we do a lot of different exercises from the new students up through the very advanced students with respect to clearing a home. And obviously the situations get more and more complex as the student's skill warrants. But the fundamental thing, the take-home message to all of this is don't do it unless you absolutely have to.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And I also like to remind the listeners that Brad also is a book author. And there is a book that I still like to read at night between some tactical books. I like to laugh a little bit. And I really enjoy it because I can open any page of that book and start to have a little bit of 5 minutes relaxing time. And also I can visualize it because I've been there and I can see you somehow at night writing this stuff, all these experiences. Please remind the name of your book and what it's about.
Yes, and I appreciate you mentioning it, Luca. Thank you. It's called In the Trenches at Frontsight. So the title kind of connotes behind the scenes, a peek behind the curtain of what goes on at Frontsight. And, of course, we've been in business for, 18 years, something like that. And I've been in the industry for almost 30 years. So I've seen all these crazy, funny, hilarious things which go on behind the scenes. And there's so many that I finally started writing them down, and, of course, that evolved into a book. So this is not a training manual. It's not some heavy gun philosophy or anything like that. This is just the lighthearted, crazy stuff that has happened to me and to the Frontsight staff over the years. I mean, all sorts of things and trials and tribulations as we were building the facility. Some of the years that I spent under Jeff Cooper, who's now deceased. He, of course, lived in Arizona as well. We have, as I mentioned, that Alaska facility. That's produced lots of funny stories, not only firearms, but also fishing stories.
Brad, website where people can get it, please.
Oh, the website, yes. And if you simply go to brad-ackman.com, and it's bradackman, obviously that's my name, brad-ackman.com, takes them right to the website for the book.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerilla Media Network. Hi everybody, this is Luca Zanna. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, second part of the second hour. And before we go ahead with the show, I got some interesting news about the Second Amendment and also United Nations trying to mess up again with our Second Amendment. I would like to share, I have received several emails from listeners about asking me, what is that music that you play at the intro of your segments? You just heard it now. Of course, that's just the instrumental version. The original song is called Boycott France. It's a song I wrote in 2005. It belongs to the CD compilation Wake Up America. By the way, you can find anywhere, everywhere, on Amazon, iTunes, wherever you want. But anyway, and the song, can be a little harsh maybe, but it really... I have no problems with French, okay? I don't problem with anybody. I believe there are good people everywhere, and France included. But the problem, first of all, the French government is pretty much one of the most socialistic government in Europe ever, along with Italy, of course. And but that's not even the main problem. We are socialistic here too. We are pretty much now becoming as bad as them. The problem that I have with the attitude of the new young generation, especially when they pretty much disrespect or they forget the sacrifice and the blood that was shed by the generation before us, the great generation, World War II. American men went all the way to Europe to free their countries, to free also my country. And all this hate now that they have towards America, I understand they're using our name, this New World Order, the globalist puppets, to make us bad reputation. But we should never forget to honor the men and also women that they died and bled on the shores of Europe, Normandy, and everywhere, France included. So The song I wrote was kind of a semi-serious song. It's called Boycott Friends, music and lyrics by Luca Zanna. You can also find it on my website, zanna.us. Here we go.
So free, but you have already forgotten what our fathers did. You sound quite different from the days of the German occupation. There is hate in your chic and the brainwashed new generation. For those of you who have forgotten the blood that our fathers shed. For those of you who have forgotten who is good and who's bad. For those of you who have forgotten who saved your ass. Now it's our time to remember. Boycott France.
And that was Boycott France. I hope you like it. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, I don't really care. But in case you like it, you can go to zanna.us and download it for just 99 cents. Or just Google it on Amazon.com and iTunes, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about some news. First of all, United Nations. United Nations, they are the biggest pain in our butt that we have. I mean, this is not a joke. They're not a joke. They're serious. Their goal is completely destroy American sovereignty. And they're doing that, try to pretty much control the different governments to create this completely destruction of our basic also Bill of Rights. Because the only way this country is still not under complete 100% tyranny, and they cannot come and confiscate our properties, and they're not completely, like in Europe, steal our pensions and do everything they want, is because we still have a Second Amendment. Their goal is global socialism that becomes global communism as they start to also enforce it with force. When they want to enforce it with force, They want us completely disarmed. Now they're coming out with this great idea of this ban on lead. They're so concerned that no nation should have ammunition with lead because they care very much about the environment. That's the point. Now, this is none of their business. They already destroyed pretty much the Obama administration through the EPA. Is destroying every type of opportunity we also have to even have lead ammunition. Think about it. The latest or the last big industrial factory lead melter used to produce lead. It's been shut down. It was in Louisiana, I guess. So we already pretty much depend on other countries. Now they want to try also, of course, this United Nations agency is proposing a ban on lead ammunition worldwide, which would serve as a backdoor gun control by making ammunition prices impossible to buy, super expensive. So that's the point. And the point is they're not playing around. This is not just a game. I mean, look right now also already California. California, you see that already passing laws, similar laws, is always lead the way. When it comes down to fascism, California, New York lead the way, of course. Now, let's see, first of all, what can we do to pretty much fight this back? First of all, I would say, you know what, send them a nice letter or just a postcard with you flipping them off. I'm going to do it now, a new photo of me flipping and off or burning a freaking United Nations flag. And let's send them to the United Nations, at least for symbolic act of love, that we are really tired of them. Then more important, we need to start to go behind our congressmen, that most of the time they're a bunch of losers anyway, and let them know that they need to start to speak up. Even if it's just their moral stand, just to speak up. We cannot let to have this global government tell us what we can do in our country. This is insane. This is insane. 50 years ago, nobody would have believed. Now we already live in it. And Obama is the final closer of this new world order. But don't forget, it did not start with Obama. Let's start to think just about Bush father. How many times he mentioned in his speeches new world order. It was just the first one to at least open it in public. But before him, they were all part of the new world order. The last president, I believe, really wanted to try to fight it, or at least try to expose it. In the last speech, one of the latest speech he had, when he was talking about secret society, and there is a plan to pretty much enslave every American, was Jeff Kennedy. And we know what happened to him. So, let's look right now a little bit on some extra news. First of all, Second Amendment news. Now there is so much going on everywhere. And I would like to share also some good news, okay? Because sometimes we must remember that the Second Amendment, it is, first of all, to defend freedom, but also to completely start to think about defend ourselves. I think it's the main reason is to defend freedom, but nothing wrong when you can defend also your family and from local thugs. So, for example, right now there is a man that was arrested for downing a drone in New Jersey, according to the CBS News, a New Jersey man was arrested after police say he shot down a neighbor's remote-control drone. According to investigators, officers with the Lower Township Police Department were called to a home in the 1000 block of Seashore Road. Now, great. I think the guy should get a medal. Unfortunately, you live in New Jersey. I'm sorry. If you were in Arizona, probably you would have no problem. But that, for me, that's the first example. Today was a private drone. Tomorrow could be a government drone. You do not fly over my house, spying on me. Okay? That's the bottom line. I think it's a great way. Don't forget, though, when you shoot at the drone, always consult your local city and county and our Arizona state laws. For example, I can shoot anything, but I need to stay at least a quarter mile from any building and to be sure that my round doesn't fall on somebody else's head. So thankfully, I live in an area that is pretty isolated, so I can pretty much shoot anything I want down. Now, there's another story that was pretty interesting. that was in Texas. Texas is a decent state when it comes down to Second Amendment. Not perfect, way far from Arizona. We got the best one here, but decent. And the news says, son saves 8 by shooting 1. Let's see what it says. Let's put it also the play. Let's play this out because I think it's something interesting to find out, okay? It's KHOU News.
KHOU 11 News at 4 starts now.
Now at 4, neighbors are in shock after bullets fly inside a home during a violent home invasion.
3 men forced their way into the home and held a mother at gunpoint.
That's when the woman's son then grabbed his own gun and shot and killed one of those intruders.
This happened early this morning at a home on Botkins that is in the town of Hockley. Larry Siebert is live near the home with new details. Larry?
Lynn, that home is just down the street. The family this afternoon not interested in interviews with us. They are still stunned. Still in her pajamas, holding her son's hand, this woman returned home hours after a deadly shootout in her kitchen.
Escuchamos unas voces.
Araceli, a mother of 3, is too afraid to show her face, but she lives next door and heard voices speaking Spanish, gunfire, then a car speed down the 23,000 block of Botkins early this morning. Harris County Sheriff deputies say 3 masked gunmen barged into this house. They ambushed a woman cooking in her kitchen. She begged for the lives of her husband, 2 grown sons, 3 granddaughters, and an employee of the family's construction business. One of those sons woke to the commotion, grabbed his gun, then came in the kitchen shooting.
It happened so quick that they were armed. They were at a standoff, basically, and he discharged first.
2 robbers fired back and ran, but their partner died. No victims were hurt. All of them ran next door for help.
Sí, aquí en mi casa ellos son muy tranquilos también. Yo los conozco y...
Araceli says her friends were calm and claimed they had no idea who attacked them or why. Detectives have not yet identified the man killed nor found his buddies, though concerned.
Que con lo que pasó ahora es...
Araceli says she's not afraid for her family. She thinks her neighbors were targets and just wants to know why. Well, detectives left here still wondering about motive in this particular case. We talked to neighbors, though, and briefly with the family, and they say this is the first burglary robbery here that they can remember. We are live in Hockley. Larry Seward, KHOU 11 News.
Here we go. I think it's interesting because you see the person, the family, the victims, they don't even speak English, they're Spanish or Mexican, whatever they are, but the Second Amendment belongs to everybody. It's the right of self-defense. It's a human right. I mean, these people, they were minding their business, and they're supposed to be victims, according to the state, in some states of the world. No. They have the right to defend themselves, their lives, and also their property in Texas, for what I understand. So, congratulations. Welcome to one of the few states where you still have rights, like Texas, and I'm glad it didn't happen to you in New York or maybe in California, where you had to send them a registered letter before you shoot them back. So, good job. One good news. Now, talking about California, well, the last place where I would like to spend any hour of my life, California governor signs gun violence restraining order. Interesting. Sound like a good word. You know, they always find these phrases like the Patriot Act. This is called gun violence restraining order. Pretty much means that you have no more rights and you're guilty until proven guilty. Okay? So you're already guilty before even you have a trial. Pretty much means that anybody of your family can go to the police. But let me just read it to you because I think it's better if you just word by word. The state of California has long been the state with some of the most strictest gun laws in the country. It got much worse. Of course, Yahoo reported the people who fear a close relative may commit gun violence will be able to petition a judge to temporarily remove the person firearms in California under a bill signed into law on Tuesday by Democratic Governor Jerry Brown. So, or you gotta have a couple of family members or whatever that they maybe don't like you, or they can pretty much, mess with you. I mean, that happens in family. And you have no more Second Amendment. No evaluation, nothing, just because somebody say so. Wow. This restraining order would last at least 21 days. It could be extended up to 1 year after a notice and a hearing. Do you like that? No, I don't like that. Don't get me wrong. If somebody is irresponsible, you have proofs, and is saying doing threats to people, there are already laws on the book. If you do a threat to somebody, you're supposed to be responsible for that. But no, just because some family member maybe have a grudge on you, and your Second Amendment is gone, I don't think that's right. Now, there is also interesting news. For example, let's see. Man beats dog, is shot twice. This is something very interesting because, first of all, I like dogs, and let's see exactly how it goes. Hercules Champagne III grabbed his cane and walked across the quiet neighborhood in South Carolina. He walked to this neighbor's house and started beating up the dog, according to the Post and Courier, as a newspaper. Champagne refused to leave when the resident confronted him. Deputies said so. With his 10-year-old daughter in the house, the resident fetched a handgun and fired twice, wounding Champagne. Champagne sounds like a pain in the butt, this guy. He walks around with the neighbor with a cane and starts to beat up a dog. Investigators said it was the latest instance of a Tri-County area resident using deadly force in self-defense under the South Carolina Protection of Person and Property Act, also known as Castle Doctrine. Interesting. This is good. Castle Doctrine is good. Your home is your castle. There was a series of events leading to this, Sheriff's Chief Deputy Sam Richardson said. The way Champagne acted out was the zenith of death. It means was pretty much the tip of the iceberg, I guess. Champagne's wounds were serious but not life-threatening. He was stable when paramedics took him to medical hospital. Anyway, so that's the bottom line. Let's see. We have a situation here that somebody started to beat up your dog, and if you fear for your life, and you have the right to defend yourself, especially on your property. I always say let's try to never use deadly force unless really there is a threat. But, the point is, at this point, I'm sure, otherwise there were no charges against the people, the home residents, and this guy pretty much, they found Champagne lying face up near the doorway. Pretty much this guy went all the way to their door. So I always say try to avoid, try to defuse, but there is a point that if you fear for your life, it's up to you. I mean, everybody must decide according to their personal experience. Now, the point is, my dear friends, it is not just about talking about the Second Amendment, it's also about exercising our Second Amendment. And I would like to share what I do or what I know. I'm not an instructor. I'm a regular guy. People, say, oh, you don't want to share your first share. This is my first share. I believe that I am rich in knowledge. And I would like to put my time as an act of love and volunteerism with my fellow Americans and residents, especially where I live here in Mohave County. So I'm not an instructor, but I'm a professional student at Frontsight, Nevada. So what I do, normally I go on Sundays, I go to the range, and I welcome anybody who wants to join me. We can shoot together, we can train together. I will share with you the curriculum that I learned at Frontsight. There are different curriculums, starting from the 4 days defensive handgun class, and let's go shoot together, and let's learn from each other. So I would love to launch this, pretty much this message to every one of you. I don't care which party you are. All I care that you're a law-abiding citizen, you're not a felon, and you're not a pain in the butt, okay? Because since it's volunteerism, I would like to enjoy time, so don't be arrogant, don't be some sort of a pain. So you can email me. You go to my website, www.lovegunsfreedom.com, and there is my email, and send me an email. So I can also add you to my Facebook, and every Sunday when I go shoot, I go to different locations. I shoot rifle, shotgun, and also handgun, of course, and we can learn from each other. So now we are ready for our number 3. It's going to be about love. We have a special guest, a little different show today. Today I don't have the special romantic interview with the freedom-loving single, but I have incredible young lady. She's an artist. She's also, of course, a musician, a songwriter, and she has the last name. her name is like my last name. I am Zanna, Gianluca Zanna, and her name is Zanna. So I thought it was kind of interesting. And we'll talk about music. And also we'll talk about politics and rights. And I'll try to share pretty much and waking each other up.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Gianluca Zanna on Guerilla Media Network. Here we are, this is Luca Zanna, and you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on KTOX 1340 AM and on Guerilla Media Network. Hour number 3. It's all about love. Or at least we need to change a little bit dynamics of the show. Normally we do hour 3 recipe, and we also interview singles from around the world who believe in freedom. Remember, the philosophy is also carpe diem, at least live the day, also with a plan, I always say, but meanwhile we must resist. To resist, we must also thrive and live well. And what better way to live well with also some music? Browsing around the internet and also on Facebook, I was able to find an artist that caught my attention because, first of all, you must really wear a pair of sunglasses just to watch your eyes. It's kind of a fiberglass thing, as you say in English. It's a beautiful young lady. Her name is Zanna, and that's the second part that really caught my attention. So I thought, you know what, let me investigate a little bit about her music, because the name was captivating, of course, since you know my name, Zanna, and also the magnetic look. Even, of course, is not exactly what you call music, but is part of the show. Now I need to listen to some of her songs. Well, I was very impressed, first of all, from the different type of tune and voice and also type of music. It's not exactly something you can just identify with one style. So here we are. Today something different for our number 3. Zanna from Los Angeles is with us. Zanna, are you there?
I am here.
Okay,
Thank
Zanna.
you very much.
So, tell us a little bit about you.
A little bit about me. All right, me in a nutshell. I grew up in Southern California and bounced around the United States for a little while. Went up to school in San Francisco. Moved out to Boston to go to school, Berklee College of Music, and then spent some time in New York City, back to Boston, and now I'm back here in LA. And I'm a musician.
Okay. I saw you play keyboard, right? I mean, you're not just a singer, you also really play music.
I do. I play guitar, I play keys. Sometimes I play bass when they let me. But I'm a songwriter most of all.
Okay. Do you have like a band or it's just your solo project?
I used to have quite a bit of people that would play with me back in Boston, but since I've moved out to Los Angeles, I'm searching for a band, searching for members to play with me. It was always a rotating number of people because, as you mentioned, my music, my style it changes quite a bit from song to song. So for one song, I might have an accordion player. For another song, I might have a trumpet player or just a regular standard rock and roll band with drums, bass, and guitar. So as far as having a steady band, no.
Okay.
I had a lot of different people.
I would say, Zanna, before we start with the questions, because they also the reason why I brought you into the show, it's really my desire through the show, not to entertain, because I'm a terrible entertainer, but especially with my accent, my grammar still sucks somehow, but my goal is to try to warn and reach everybody. I don't care where you're from. All I care that you care about to be a human being free with inalienable rights, that we are facing one of the biggest, most dangerous time in history. When it comes down to freedom, I mean, we're really 1 minute before midnight. And this didn't start just with Obama or Bush. It went way before. But so my goal is always try. I'm also curious to see, especially the younger people, what do they know? Or what's going on in their brain? What do they feel? What are their hopes or their fears? So I would like to mix a little bit some music and also maybe just exchange some ideas and somehow, try to understand what's going on in your brain.
This purple heart that I earned for my pain is a mark from your bite, and it's all that remains. This violet star that you gave to me doesn't hurt anymore. In fact, it sets me free. Run you over. Karma's gonna knock you down. 'Cause baby, what you've done to me is gonna come right back around. This lilac rose, your thorns cut my face till my tears run like wine and melted your spoiled fruit, my small plum contusion, and your correct indulgence are all just illusion. How you made this golden river. What you did will come full circle. Karma's gonna run you over. Karma's gonna knock you down. 'Cause baby, what you've done to me is gonna come right back around. So I won't leave this back to burn here in my sleep. And I won't waste a dream on what you
That was Karma by Zanna. And that wasn't me. It wasn't the Zanna that normally you listed, but much better Zanna, better looking, and I think also better singer. By the way, I really like this song, and I tell you why. I like to write every type of music, and I like to listen to every type of music. I'm not just a rock guy or a pop guy. I like everything, from classical to punk. And what I like, I'm not really a jazz person, but what I like about this one, it's like almost, it's like a wedding between different styles. And even, of course, I didn't focus very much still on the lyrics. I like the feeling they transmit me. I don't know, it's kind of solar, and your voice is great. That's all I can say as the first input. And did you play any instruments in this song?
I played guitar and I sang.
Very good, very good. Now, as you know, this show is not exactly about what you call a reviewing music. It's we also use music mostly to send messages, and more important, we try to reach people. Now, back to pretty much the core of the show. When it comes down to your generation, you're a younger woman, at least younger than I am, but you start to understand that also what you told me, that we are living in very strange times. I mean, this is not exactly the America that maybe, I don't know, your grandfather lived. We are, first of all, are you familiar with something when I tell you the Patriot Act or the National Defense Authorization Act? They are words that brings you something to your memory.
Actually, I looked that up a little bit and had quite a bit of difficulty trying to even understand what I was reading.
Okay.
If you could explain it a little bit more.
Yeah, at least I'm not a professor. I'm just a regular guy, on top with an accent that unfortunately is being witnessing, like many of us, what's happening. Since 9/11, okay, by the way, 9/11 was a fraud, or at least, wasn't exactly what we've been told. Let's start with the base.
I have heard some theories, yeah.
And I'm not trying to, I would like everybody to verify for themselves, because it took me 3 years to really wake up myself. And I'm telling you just something very simple. When you know that there is almost a joke, unfortunately serious, 2 planes, okay, there were 2 planes and they hit 2 towers, okay? And there is a joke, 2 planes, but 3 towers went down. You ever heard about WT7, the Building 7, fell down in free fall, and no airplane ever hit it.
I have heard it.
You ever heard that? You ever watched the video of that?
I have, yes.
Yes. I mean, just for start, you know that there was the Pentagon. Was never an airplane was seen. We don't know anything about an airplane hitting the Pentagon. There are no videos. There is nothing. And there is no residual, any type of... I'm talking about big airplane. So my point is from why I'm bringing up 9/11 after all these years. Because unfortunately, I don't know if you know, there is this sort of philosophy from governments in general that they need crisis to obtain more power and more control and deprive citizens from their basic rights. It's like almost an Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. 9/11 was created, in my opinion, at least was manipulated, or at least it wasn't exactly what we've been told. And there are many things that happened after that. One of the first things was the Patriot Act. The Patriot Act, completely different from what we think, because there is the name of Patriot. It isn't Patriot. It is pretty much the closest thing to what happened in Germany under Hitler. The basic rights that we have expressed, or at least enumerated in the Bill of Rights. The Bill of Rights doesn't give you rights. They just enumerate the rights. Among those, that we're supposed to have a due process, that we're supposed to have secure of our personal effects and communications. It all went to the toilet. Pretty much now from that day, we are living in a soft martial law. The National Defense Authorization Act pretty much reaffirmed that and make it even worse. I don't know if you're familiar with the Magna Carta, time of the England we're talking about. The king finally, before put somebody in jail or in the dungeon, they had to find an habeas corpus, the body of the crime. And also must be a due process, must be a trial, must be a jury. Now with the National Defense Authorization Act, this has happened under Obama, okay? Patriot Act under Bush, terrible. Under Obama we have as terrible, if not worse. Now the government, just because they are suspecting you, that you could be a terrorist. Everybody of us could be, according to the new definition of the government, a potential domestic terrorist. Just because you believe in peace, you don't believe in war, you don't agree with the government, you're a potential domestic terrorist, according to the definition of Homeland Security. You can be arrested, detained, indefinitely, with no due process, no access to judge, lawyers, trial, nothing, and pretty much killed. That's pretty much what the bill says, National Defense Authorization Act. And for the first time from the Civil War, we used to have what is called the posse comitatus. That means the military cannot be used on the American soil, otherwise we become a police state. Now, the military can be used to arrest any one of us and do this dirty job that I just told you. So these are the 2 most important things I wanted to be sure you were aware. I hope I was clear enough.
Thank you. Yeah, I was aware of the USA Patriot Act. I even knew the acronym, which I think most people don't know. the U.S. Patriot Act. Do you know what it stands for? It stands for the Uniting and Strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism act. It's lovely how it all works into Patriot.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it doesn't really seem very patriotic.
Now, meanwhile, we have the borders that are open, and we have completely no control of who is coming here. But if you go to the airport, they must sexually harass you and put their hands among your private parts and take your shoes off. But you know the story. We have people, thousands of people, millions of people that pretty much, since not just Obama, Bush included, they are pretty much destroying everything that was left of this America. Now, regardless, I became an independent just last week, not because I believe that the Republican Party was doing a great job. Probably I was one of the most critical people in the party because I was trying to denounce all the wrongdoing things. And I believe at this point that we need to unite as Americans. Regardless, we have maybe difference in socioeconomics, but when we understand the gravity that we have here with our basic rights, this is enough. National Defense Authorization Act, I think we should be, and I don't care which party anybody is, we should all be agreed that this is not the right way to be as Americans, as human beings. Now, what is your political orientation? I'm just curious. Where are you coming from?
Well, I was raised as a Democrat.
Okay, from Boston,
in Orange
of course.
County, which is kind of
Orange County.
Rare. Orange
Yes.
County in California is very Republican. And then sometime around, I say around Ron Paul era, I became a Republican just so that I could vote for him in the primaries.
Okay,
and
interesting.
Yeah, and since then I became, like you, more of an independent because I can't really seem to agree with anybody. It seems like everybody is just sort of going round and round trying to fight in circles. There's left-wing liberals and right-wing conservatives. There are socialists and capitalists.
I think they're doing the same at the end of the day because think about it. Besides some minor aspect, okay? Honestly, I don't care what you do in your personal life. If you want to marry a man, a woman, it's your business. But besides these minor flavors, when it comes down to pretty much big government, come down to pretty much central control and these illegal wars that we have been having with Bush, Obama, Bush, and of course all these acts of terrorism against the American people, the Patriot Act, National Defense Authorization Act, all these executive orders, I don't see any difference. Seriously. I see the same thing. The bailout for the bankers was done first by Bush and that was done by Obama. What is the difference there? There is no more difference, seriously. And now, are you familiar, for example, that under this administration, now we have about probably, I don't know, many billions of rounds that Homeland Security just purchased. Are you familiar with this purchase of billions of rounds?
Did not, no.
Okay, Homeland Security. That's why I like to have this show, because we need to try to catch up with each other. And I hope, like you, other young listeners, they try to understand this is not about politics. Politics for me is not an abstract concept. It is the way we can be free to be in control of our lives. Homeland Security, just the last 2 years, under the Obama administration, has been purchasing over 3 billion rounds of ammunition, hollow point. Hollow point, just to give you an idea, cannot be used by the military for the Geneva Convention. So they're only for civilian use.
Right.
They are very lethal. And, along with these 3 billion rounds of hollow point, also there have been more than 5,000 armored vehicles purchased through the Department of Defense, given to Homeland Security, and now given to almost every county and city. So we are ready almost to leave. There is no really logic to have all this firepower in the hands of the police or the military on U.S. soil unless somebody is preparing to use it. This is disturbing. This is disturbing. We never had this before, seriously. And I would like to start to make people understand, especially the younger people that normally we think, things are pretty much okay. They're not okay. You never heard about the word pretty much martial law. You know what means martial law, right? Martial law.
Very familiar, yes.
Yeah, when the movie you watch the martial law, the government in an emergency situation, like we say, there is a crisis and there is a reaction. People say, oh my gosh, help us, government. And then there is a solution, more government and no more rights. I'm very concerned we are very close to a situation of martial law. And maybe I'm sorry, Zanna, if you think I sound like kind of crazy, if you start to follow, maybe do your researches with all these things like Homeland Security, the 3 billion rounds and the armored vehicles, all these executive orders that we have. I mean, I'll give you another one, then I'll stop, okay? Just one and a half year ago, FEMA, are you familiar with FEMA, right?
Yes.
FEMA is the emergency response organization from the federal government, signed an agreement with Russian military that in case of an emergency in America, like rioting or diseases, whatever, guess who will patrol and keep us safe on the American soil? The Russian soldiers. Think about it. Did you know that? This is directly from FEMA.gov, listeners. This is not just something out of some conspiracy theory. So I would like just my prayer is that every American, regardless if they are young or old, they start to understand that we have no more time to delay the process to understand that we are really in danger, seriously. And this hour is supposed to be about love, and now we'll talk more about love, and I have another song I would like to share with you. But I wanted to just give this sort of interaction between two different generations. I'm a little older than Zanna, but at least to start to put this seed. And I hope, Zanna, when you come back home and between your songs and your music, maybe you got some time that you can start to think, hey, maybe the other Zanna wasn't, let me see if it really crazy is. Let me find out all the stuff he was talking about. Anyway, Lista, which song would you like to play? First of all, before we go to the next song, I give you the microphone. I talk enough. Go ahead. Give you the floor. Whatever you want to say.
Just to talk about anything?
Anything. I give you 2 minutes before we go to the next break.
Okay. Well, when you asked me first to be on the show, I started thinking about, he's going to want to talk about a lot of politics, and I started thinking, I don't really know quite a bit about it. I try to stay away from that. One of the degrees I got in college was in public relations, and one of the things I learned while studying that was that the media is, it's very controlled by public relations. Basically, we're being spoon-fed quite a bit of information, and it's not quite the media that it used to be. So I didn't quite have as much information about politics, so I did a bit of research. All I know is how I've been affected by what's been going on in my life. And for me, I was just living my life, going to school, went to college, had to get some student loans, and after I acquired quite a bit of, a massive amount of student loan debt, I found myself in a different economic, let's say, strata than I was prior. Mm-hmm. And now that I am an artist, and which we don't make very much as it is, with quite a bit of student loan debt. I mean, we're talking, I have roughly the size of a medium-sized mortgage crammed into the few cubic inches inside of my skull. At least I can't repossess my education, but I still owe quite a bit. I've noticed it seems to be the rich elite versus everybody else dynamic right now. Debt seems to be a major cause of poverty and violence throughout history. It's been used by the wealthy and the powerful elite to enslave and impoverish others.
Zanna, don't go away. We go for the second segment. Stay there.
Yes.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, Visit freedomlovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. freedomlovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerilla Media Network. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on Guerilla Media Network. Here we are back. This is Luca Zanna, Love, Guns, and Freedom, final part of our number 3. We have here a guest, special guest. Her name is Zanna, a songwriter and also musician, and also a young lady that we are exchanging ideas to learn from each other what's going on right now with our rights, with our lives, and also in America in general. Zanna, are you still there?
I am.
So before we go ahead, tell me again, where did you write that song, Karma, please?
Karma, I wrote while I was supposed to be paying attention in class. It was a harmony class at Berklee College of Music. I was supposed to be paying attention to my teacher, and I felt so impassioned about something that was going on in my life that I just started writing lyrics right there in class, and I felt like the song was more important than whatever we were learning that day. So not a great attitude, but I got a good song out of it. So
very good. There
you go.
Excellent. Now, we were talking about something very important too. It's about student loan and also pretty much the situation that now the average American, unless you have a rich family, you're pretty much starting already to be almost like in bondage, to be in this sort of in debt. It's pretty sad, I have a song that you wrote that I think is very interesting, and also it fits a little bit into what we were talking about. It's called Little Man of Little Man. And I said, let's just play it, and then we can comment and continue the conversation, okay?
Okay.
Here we go. This is Zanna, Little Man of Little Man, on Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Little man of little men, sitting high upon your wall, gazing out upon your empire that took so long to grow so tall. Now that your castle has come crumbling down, and your plastic currency strewn all over the ground, you ponder your armor, what shattered your shell, and how could this have happened when things were going so well, so little man of little men, within your walls made of pure gold, you stirred a secret recipe, and your subjects swallowed it whole, consumed their daily dose, made fat on their distraction, confused art with commerce and instant satisfaction. They sold their souls for diamonds while you kept your conscience clear, and the prophets screamed and yourself, all of your horses, and all of your men are battling something that they can't comprehend. The people are coming, they've stormed through the gates. The convoy was theirs, and for you, it's
There we go. Excellent.
Ah.
I like it. Normally I like to play the song all the way. Sorry for the other one. I kind of spaced out. I really like to finish the song. And
Yeah, you cut off my last chorus, but that's
I-
all right.
You're
That's
right.
okay.
You're right. The first one,
It's
but
okay.
I made up on this with this one. So listen
forgive you.
briefly, because this is important. I didn't, I'm kind of with the lyrics. I need to sit down and read. Even I'm supposed to be an American. I am an American, but my English is still sometimes. I need to read. I don't catch every lyrics, but whatever I heard, I really like it, or at least something that it really makes sense what we're talking about. For example, do you know that our Federal Reserve, you know that technically it is not federal at all. It is not part of the government, but it is pretty much a private cartel of bankers. Are you familiar with that?
Not quite. No.
Okay. I ask you a favor, and I really beg you, like I beg anybody else listening, especially younger people. There is a documentary by a very famous movie director, unfortunately died, Mr. Aaron Russo, and he used to live in Los Angeles, of course. Before he died, he wanted really to wake up the rest of us. He did a documentary. It's called America, From Freedom to Fascism. It is the most powerful documentary that I beg you can watch it for free on the internet, on YouTube. And I ask you really as a favor to watch it. As American, as a human being, this is for me was one of the most powerful things I watched a few years ago, almost 8 years ago, and really woke me up. Pretty much explain and proves with facts that we've been living in bondage at least since 1913. Before 1913, Zanna, just to let you know, there was not the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve, it is just a pack of bankers that pretty much, I'll give you the short story, they've been given the sovereign powers to print money. We used to print our own money. So talking about the little man that you're talking here, think about it. Me and you, we are two bankers, and then we go to your friend, and that normally used to be printing money for America, okay? The third party is America. Me and you, we are two bankers. And now we say, hey, America, give us the power to print your money. Okay. And then when we have that power, what do? We charge interest on every dollar we print. Think about it. So now, since 1913, every time the American government, the U.S. government, it needs a dollar for a war or for welfare or for anything, for your student loan, we have to pay interest on that dollar. They don't create dollars out of gold or anything like that. They created money out of thin air with prints. Now, not even that. It's digital. Think about it. But they charge us real interest. The interest that we need to pay with our income tax. If If you think about it, before 1913, this country did not have income tax. Are you familiar with that?
Yes.
Excellent. We were doing fine. We had roads, we had soldiers, we had schools, we had everything. The point is, when we'll figure it out, as Americans, younger, older, I don't care which party, that we have a monster called Federal Reserve. They pretty much took complete control of every aspect of our government, because at the end of the day, they can pretty much destroy governments with the interest rates. They can destroy everything. They control the bag, the money bag. And that's why I say, please, everybody, and you, Zanna, you're a young lady, you're a smart lady, maybe you can get inspiration, because that's why I also believe music, it's a tool to reach the souls of people, to create emotions, and of course also share this emotion. At the same time, it's also a great responsibility, because it could be a great tool to reach people in awakening, because what we're facing here is not politics or bad politics. This is about complete bondage. That's what I call it. So that's all I wanted to say to you, and I'm glad, that you listen about, my ranting, because when I go, I know I go crazy a little bit. But so tell me a little bit more about this Little Man of the Little Man, this song.
Well, this song I wrote while driving between Boston and Los Angeles. I'm sorry, between Boston and New York.
Okay.
Two very electric cities. I was seeing on the subway, bouncing into people all the time, looking around and seeing how people were living. And I saw not only myself but other people, how, like we're talking about debt, how small financial elites were making massive financial advantage on the misery of normal working people, to the destruction of communities. Seems like they don't want us to be a community, because together we are strong. So they break up things like Occupy Wall Street. I ended up playing for Occupy Wall Street. That was a good day. And let's see. I wrote this song because I was angry at what I saw. The government has an obligation to protect our rights, to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When the government is in breach of those rights, then we have a lawful duty to resist. We have a lawful duty to make our government uphold the social contract, the promise that they make to us, the citizens. But we should resist any attempts. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, sorry, I wanted to say, how do you feel, Zanna? You have a debt with this student loan. Meanwhile, we are going to, for example, Ukraine, and we give, $50 billion free, or we go to other, probably 125 countries. We're giving, look how much is our foreign aids, pretty much free, because we pay with our tax dollar. How do you feel? I would feel miserable, and I am feeling miserable because we are still paying with our taxes. But when you have, for example, a guy that lost his home, or a young man or young woman that is trying to pay this federal U.S. loan for the school education, at the same time we are giving money away around the world. Forget about the illegal wars. I'm not even going there. How do you feel about that? This is terrible.
Well, it's a little disheartening when I owe so much and they're giving so much away. I don't know the details of our foreign aid, but I'll say that it makes me feel a little hopeless. Yeah. I used to feel quite anxious about how much I owed, and it used to weigh over my head like a rain cloud, the fact that I would probably never, ever be able to pay off the amount that I owe. And I look on Facebook, I see my friends, and they all say the same thing. Well, I will never get out of debt. I will never own a house. I will never have the American dream because I owe so much.
And
my credit now is ruined. And
this is part of the plan, and I'm not trying to sound, gloom and doom, but when you will find out your research, and I beg you, when you will start from probably the beginning of your little trail, the documentary From Freedom to Fascism by Aaron Russo, you will see that this has been planned a long time ago for this nation. You ever heard about the word New World Order, global government? Yes. The idea to create this New World Order means that they need to destroy America's sovereignty, and also level the American economic what used to be our status, economic status, to pretty much level with two countries around the world. So we're all going to be poor pretty much. And the American dream, as you were saying, to have your little home and to be able to take care of yourself and to have, is pretty much, look at now, even just in the regular industries, we have no more manufacturing jobs. By design, they've been destroyed, all being brought overseas. And this wasn't just about a Republican deal, it was both, because both parties at top level, they work for the same international bankers. And the creation of the New World Order, it doesn't stop with America, but Europe, it's already there. I was from Italy, and I remember before I left, 16 years ago was the last year Italy existed really. But for 50 years before, they started this process to create this European community. And now you have no more Italy, no more France, no more Germany, but we have this big, huge entity where pretty much the state sovereignty, they're gone, and more important, there is only one class of slaves, pretty much, because the elite, they're getting richer, and the middle class is becoming poor. There is no more middle class. So that's all I would like to share with you, things that, unfortunately, are connected to the message also you put in your music, because it is not an accident, it is not an accident. When people says, I don't like politics, me neither. Honestly, I'm not into politics. I'm not running for any office, but I think it was an ancient Greek philosopher used to say, I'm trying to just recollect it, if you do not get involved in politics, bad men will do it and will rule your life. They will pretty much decide for you. That's why I'm saying it's, unfortunately, we have to at least be aware. That's all I'm saying. Now,
right. I guess you've got to look for different systems while living in the current system. It's complicated, and I guess at times we'll be compromised, but we've still got to live in this environment, this aquarium of modern capitalism. But we can try to change it. We can try to change it brick by brick, breath by breath, every choice we make. And so that's the way that I try to do it, is through my music.
This is not even capitalism, this is chronic capitalism, because this is like corporatism. It's the union between government and the corporation. It's called fascism, according to Mussolini definition. That's where we are. This is not more private businesses being free to thrive or make mistake and prosper. No, this is about now few huge corporations pretty much dictate the government. Through the government, they dictate to the rest of us how to live, how to work, how to do things. Now, music. What is your final goal? What you're trying to achieve exactly in Los Angeles? What you want to do?
Well, not just in Los Angeles, but anywhere that I can. I guess I would try to lift humanity up a little bit with my music. And what does that mean? What does lift humanity up mean? I try to, if people are listening, I try to say something that is going to make them wake up. Is going to, at least from what little I know, I can share with them through music and spread good as much as possible. That's my goal, is really just to spread good.
Do you have like a management right now helping you out?
I do not.
Okay, so you're looking for a management, and of course then the idea would be to look for a record deal. But you know that there are now other options to also create your own independence in the area. I'm sure you're aware of it, right?
Yeah, I worked for a few record labels. Interned, I'll say. I was an intern for them. And I don't know. They're sort of like dinosaurs now. They move slow. They're big. They move very slowly. And I think that they probably aren't doing things the right way. They aren't. I disagree with a lot of their practices.
I agree with you, because now the world has changed, especially the last 20 years. And I think if you have a good message, a good music, and you can also create a good production, at least a decent production without anymore going to the big studios, you can do a lot of technology at home. You can deliver your message directly through the internet to your listeners. The only question is how to market it, how to reach them. Because technically you have no more the middleman. We are no more blocked like we used to go before, or we had to go through the Tower Records or all the different distribution that only the big names, the big corporation could bring you in. But I really believe that you can start to look at it from a different angle. I think you have a great message, you got a great voice, and it's still young, and you can also evolve. But already what I heard, I think you can for sure need just to find a way how to reach your people, your listeners. That's pretty much the idea. Now, do you play live? Do you go concerts around?
I do. I do. I've just been picking up a few gigs here in LA.
Okay.
Recently, yeah.
You have a website. People can go check it out and maybe...
I do.
Go ahead.
Yes, anybody who'd like to check out zannamusic.com, Z-A-N-N-A, just like Zanna here, music.com. And you can see my music there. I'm also on Facebook and Reverb Nation and SoundCloud. You can always find me. It's basically just /Zanna Music. That's me. I'm all over the internet, but still not quite as successful as I'd like to be. But I'm out there.
Perfect. But, I'll give you, I really believe things happen for a reason. And who knows, maybe in 6 months from now, next time I need to talk to you, I need to go through your manager and maybe to have the clearance of your record label, okay? Hopefully you remember me. So listen, I would like to finish this show. This is supposed to be the love part. We talk a little bit about politics, of course, your music, try to change. A little bit of quick recipes for the week. Last week we did how to make fettuccine, fettuccine homemade. We already cleared that. Now the fettuccine we have, we're going to make it with a special sauce of mushroom and peas. Very easy way. Take pen and paper and write it down. First of all, you get 1 onion, and you saute the onion on the pan. And at that point, you start to wash the mushroom, chop them in small pieces. And as the onion is sauteed, you pour the mushroom into the pan. Very simply. The mushroom, you don't want to burn them. You want to cook them about low, medium heating. And at that point, you can put a little bit of marsala or even a little bit of white wine, depends on your flavor, just enough to help the cooking of the mushroom so they don't get dry. At that point, when the mushroom, they're pretty much almost done, you get a can of peas, very simply, and pour the peas and let them melt together. Let them cook together for at least another 5 minutes. Remember, you want to stay very low, medium on your temperature. Meanwhile, you have your hot water boiling pot with the fettuccine or tagliatelle that we already prepared before. When you have your water boiling, you salt it, and at that point, you pour the fettuccine homemade, that they're different from the one you buy, so it takes less time in cooking, don't forget. At that point, in 2 or 3 minutes, you will see the fettuccine, they start to pretty much float on the pot. That means they're almost ready. You will drain the fettuccine when they're ready, and you pour them into the pan with the mushroom, with the peas, and with the onions. Now, to finalize all that, leave a little bit of extra water from the draining because you want to add some cheese. Normally, I would say pecorino cheese or Parmesan cheese. And with a little bit of water, it will become almost like a cream. A little bit of ground pepper, and you have a beautiful fettuccine alla boscaiola, lumberjack fettuccine. So, Zanna, let's say hi to everybody. And
hello.
Nice meeting you, and thank you very much for your time, and I hope everybody enjoyed the show, and talk to you next week. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna and Zanna.
Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.